Hi, welcome to the Pursuit of Truth. It is the 11th of June 2018. This is a little bit off topic, but in a way it's not. I was watching the film Paul, Apostle of Christ, because I wanted to see how they were going to portray him. I suppose from an outset to say I have a Muslim background. So my understanding of Saint Paul, or Soul of, is it Taurus? Taurus, I think. He, from my point of view, he's the one who changed what Christianity, well, created Christianity in a way. That's my understanding of it, in the sense that my understanding of Christ, Jesus Christ, was that his mission as a Messiah was to find the lost sheep of Israel, Abraham's 12 tribes, which all would have been Jewish. So my understanding of his mission as laid out in the Torah, and which I think also Jesus quoted as well as being his mission, was to find those lost tribes. And I believe that according to Christians, that before he was crucified, he'd found, is it 2 or 3 of those tribes? As Muslims, we believe he survived. I'm not aware, I should say me, because different ones believe different things, but believe that he didn't die on the cross. It was a misdiagnosis. He wasn't actually dead because the spear went inside his leg and blood came out, showing that he was still alive. And that it wasn't a miraculous thing where he went to heaven and came back and all that kind of stuff. That he just continued his mission. And that St. Paul is the one who's changed all this. Or now I'm starting to wonder, now with my new understanding of how things are, I'm starting to wonder whether even St. Paul even existed. Which is different, because a few years ago you would have asked me this, I would have told you what I'm going to tell you now, that that Jesus said that he came not to change the law of David. I think it's the law of David. But he said he came not to change the law, so he wasn't a law-bearing prophet, he was a subservient prophet to the previous law. And so therefore he wouldn't be able to bring a new religion, because he wasn't the law-bearing prophet. Therefore he was the Jew, and he was just rejuvenating Judaism, right? They had forgotten the teachings, and he was bringing them back to them, making them understand the truth of those teachings. So I believe he was a full Jew, as in, he prayed the same way as Jews, he ate the same way, fasted the same way, and those who follow Christ should be Jewish and they should be following him, and that he never came for mankind. Obviously I would say that because I'm a Muslim, and we believe that Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he came for mankind. And Jesus mentions him, that, well, I know they believe that phrase is about, Christians will believe that phrase is about Jesus, where he talks about his comforter, and I think it uses the word peace as well, which obviously Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Islam means peace. So that to me connects, because anyway, so that's beside the point anyway, that's varying into different things. But the thing is, now I'm thinking of, because St. Paul, obviously on the road to Damascus, he claims that Jesus came to him, and Jesus told him that now I want you to go to the Gentiles, the non-Jewish people, and teach my word to them. Now my problem is with that is, from a religious aspect, that wasn't his mission. He never claimed in his lifetime, as far as Christians are concerned, that was his mission. He was meant to go to the lost sheep of Israel and give his message to them. So it's a bit strange that this man, who seems to have 2 identities, he also seems to be both a Roman citizen and a Pharisee, which I believe is a Jewish high priest. So I can't understand how he has both those things. It seems like he's 2 people, in fact, Saul and Paul. So it does make you wonder now I'm thinking, like, with these things, like history being rewritten and things, you know, could it have just been made up? This person, maybe it did exist, you know, these facts maybe came to us hundreds of years after they meant to have happened. It's easy for someone to have invented something, especially back in those days where the records aren't as verifiable as they are now. Just writing in a loggia, you know, someone's name. I mean, if you were going to lie, you could easily do that, especially if you were the Roman Empire and the Roman Empire was on its way out and they saw that Jesus had come and they saw, oh, this is a way to control people, so let's harness this, let's take it over by having someone called St. Paul. He's going to teach it to everyone. That they would need someone to make it non-Jewish, i.e. talk to the Gentiles. That's why it's very important for the Romans that his message is saying you can teach to everyone now. It's a way of controlling. And then the Catholic Church, and we see the power that they have. I think those start to fit in when you start to see it like that. That would be a great way to control people after the Roman Empire was at an end, and it's a way of keeping power without needing to kill people in the same way. You can keep them by their beliefs. Obviously, you know, then I've got to ask myself the same thing as a Muslim. How do I know that Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam existed? How do I know that the Quran is true? It wasn't just written by someone else. I guess at the end of the day, we can't tell anything really, any books. Who do we know who wrote them unless they're written by us or in recent times? Yeah, I guess they could have been written by other people. How would we know? Does even God exist, or is it a human construct? I mean, I guess that's why it's a belief. I want to believe in that, and I've felt things that I've ascribed to God, and that I've seen, you know, prayed for things and they've happened when I've needed them to. Not always, obviously. I don't know, I guess it's a personal belief, you know, that I believe that God exists, whether the problem is, how do I now, trying to be like completely unbiased and not confirmation bias and all that kind of stuff, how can I prove that the Bible or the Quran are actually written by real people and they weren't just written to control us? I suppose I could say that if you look inside them, a lot of the stuff in there, like I've said before, is of good, you know, of people helping each other out, of people, I suppose the things you could say, but being subservient to God. But then again, if you believe in the flat earth idea that this is the only place there is and there isn't anything else, then that does point you to that there might be a creator. I don't know. Now when your mind's open, it's very difficult to prove anything really. But then I guess that's always been the case really. I mean, I could never, even though I profess to being a Muslim and following the Quran and reading the Bible and whatever, I could never prove that God exists. I can never prove that these words that I read are genuine and they haven't been altered other than what people say. So I guess it hasn't really changed. It's just my understanding of it has changed, that now I know more than ever that there's always a possibility that it's been made up. I suppose, like my dad always used to say when we had these conversations with each other about following faith, is that he would always say, well, I suppose there's no disadvantage to following, because if it does turn out to be true, then you'll be in heaven, isn't it? Or you'll be. And he was a humanist. He is a humanist. So I suppose from that point of view, there is that benefit. I suppose the thing is, if there's negative benefits, but I think the problem is in the negative benefits, it's not actually the religion that is the negative benefits, it's the people who take control of them, those leaders who use religion to weaken people or go against them, or make their lives very unlivable, like we see around the world. I don't know whether that can be put with the religion. I think that's more to do with man. And the unfortunate thing is, like, you can make an atom, split an atom, and it can be done for good purposes, or you can do it for bad purposes. Yeah, like a car can be for good, or it can be run into people. So it's really the man that's the cause of the problem of the negative use of things. But anyway, yeah, I thought I'd have this discussion. I suppose the thing is, what I'm slowly learning out of all of this is that it's very hard to know what is true and what isn't, and what we really know and what we don't. Anyway, take care, take it easy, God bless, and peace.